Okay, so hungry. Thanks to Pat at Catlin Hughes PR, we got to check this film out, right? It is the new one from Robert McCaskill, who co-wrote the film with Peter Gil-Sheridan. It is produced by Nick Candio. It's executive produced by Amir Savastava, Robert McCaskill, associate produced by Bettinian Fishman, co-produced by Lena Lansky and Elizabeth Passero. Ken Rich took care of the music. Christopher S. Lind is on cinematography. It's all edited by Benjamin Murray. Casting, we have Jeffrey and Elizabeth Passero. Our production design is Kat Van Cleve. Sonia Fultars is art direction. Costume design, Morgan Bush. Hair, makeup, we got Kyle Sheehan, Michaela Pence, Dina Oliveri, and Ray Cintron. The cast. Right, so Manish is played by Amar Savastava as well, right? It's a few people wearing different hats up in this, you know what I mean? So yeah, he's Manish. The younger Manish is played by Rayan Zaim-Sassi. We have got Manish's mother, played by Rashmi Rustagi. We have his dad in flashbacks, right? His dad was played by Jay Sharan. We see his dad's mistress in flashbacks. That's an Angel Pie. Manisha's got a sister, Gura, played by Shiva Kalasalavan. I'm butchering the names, yo. Butchering the names, people. Mad apologies on that front. So, Gava, she's married. Her husband, Brian, is played by Neil Lipnow. They've got a son, Ishan, played by Donovan Monzon-Sanders. Okay, so Manish has a mistress. Well, it's not really a mistress if you're not married, right? But she's married, right? So he's seeing this woman, Shima, played by Emmy Harrington. He's also dating. He starts dating the science teacher, Lizette, played by Katya Martin. Shima has a husband, as mentioned, right? Henry, played by Terence Bay. We've also got the head teacher of the school where Manish and Lizette work, who's also Manish's sponsor. She's played by Kim Coles. Who else? Who have I missed? Anyone? There's his mum's friend, who is Carol, played by Celia Shafir. We've got the wrestlers who, wrestle on Manish, the team Manish coaches. So there is Jaquan, played by Jaden Jordan. Reese, played by James Ignacio. Cyrus, played by David Acano. Jamal, played by Javier Esquibo. Tamika, played by Sophia Bryant. Gilly, played by Bilal Avaz. Ahmed, played by May Alam. Neil, played by Josh Accardo. Frankie, played by Ryan Shanahan. All right, we've also got Baxter, who goes on a date with Manish's mum, played by Michael McKenzie. We have Carl, played by David Fierro. Who else is there? Rufus, by Gabrielle Moore Johnson. Donnie, played by Daniel Oliver Lee. I feel that's like a lot of the main people, right? I think that Casey, played by Max Wilcox. All right, so the gist of the film is Manish is fit, attractive, and many years sober through the Overeaters Anonymous program in New York City. However, he suffered from disordered eating as a high school wrestler, and when his father passed, he hit rock bottom. Today's life starts to mirror his early struggles with disordered eating, and it begins to affect every facet of his life. At its heart, this story is about recovery, but it is also a deep dive into what it means to struggle with obligations to your family's chosen and biological in the face of your own desires. Still, Manish's life is bright and full of people, from the strong-willed teens on the wrestling team he coaches to his no-nonsense sponsor and primarily no-nonsense sponsee to his ever-caring and overbearing family that push him to find balance in health and in his day-to-day life. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say all the family are pushing him, right? I mean, I guess, the mum is trying to be supportive and all of that, but then also her actions are a big problem, right? It's a big issue. It's an interesting film because you can see what they are trying to do, right? I think watching this film, look, you can see what Robert Maskell and Peter Gil-Sheridan are trying to show us, the fact that I think you're never fully cured from like these things, right? An eating disorder or any sort of addiction. You're never just, I'm fixed, right? There's always going to be that thing that could tempt you. Now, when everything is good, probably never getting tempted, right? Because we don't, it's when times are bad. It's when, there isn't support there. When you're feeling low, when you're feeling down, that's when the little gremlins start being like, hey, remember me? I was good, right? I was good. Let's go again. That's when you hear those things. And so I think the film shows that, which is, good. I think it's good. Like some of the other things, I'm not so sure how well the balance necessarily works, right? Because we have from that synopsis, everything was good, and then it starts to go, but we don't really see that, right? We don't really see anything good, because I think from the giddy up, everything is very rocky, right? So it's not like we, as a viewer, see, oh, he was coping really well, and then it's all gone, and these are the things that you can see are pulling at him, right? Now, you assume the things that are pulling at him. You assume from what you are hearing that, okay, I imagine these things are going to be a problem, right? And especially when you see the way he deals with it, right? He doesn't really go to the mum, stop giving me your receipts. You know what I mean? Like, he gets snippy at the end, but at no point is he just like, yo, this ain't good. We're not doing this. You know what I mean? And no one seems to question that. Like, his sister isn't pushing him in that way. But when the mum is just like, oh, we'll get Manish to help, she's not going, yeah, no, I don't think we should do that. So I think the film could have been better in those instances. Like with the wrestling team, it feels like a aside, right? I think because it's not, we don't see enough of it, right? And what we do see of it feels very generic. So to be like, oh yeah, this is dealing with this is, it doesn't really feel like when you see the wrestling, and I don't know a great deal of wrestling. Right? Wrestling isn't my thing. I've done jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, you know what I mean, taekwondo. Like, I've done a lot of martial arts, but not wrestling. But I've seen some wrestling, and I don't know if what we see here is necessarily crazy legit, right? It doesn't feel like, yeah, this is a thing. You know what I mean? And the whole Tamika angle, again, just feels a bit throwaway, And I think there could have been so much more there. Because, again, you can see what they were trying to do with the whole wrestling angle, but I don't think it fully works. But it really could have, The relationships, I didn't necessarily buy any of them, right? Lizette just felt like a weird one, right? That did feel very odd. Shima, again, a bit odd, right? And especially like, oh, you can call me Shima. Pow, pow. Like, what? I don't know what the fuck that was. I don't know. That just felt super weird. Some of the dialogue just doesn't necessarily flow. You know what I mean? Which does make it a bit like not all the acting is as strong as other parts of it. So it is a bit, it does get a bit muddled and muddy. There is a bit in the wrestling when you've got Tamika holding one of the guys down, and yeah, I don't know, it didn't feel very realistic. Because then, like, neither are huge, but I think in the way she's holding him, it wasn't a wrestling move, right? So where when you do jiu-jitsu, you don't have to be the biggest person to lock something in and to control someone, because it's all about positioning, right? And using certain things as a fulcrum, and and using someone else's body weight against them and all of that. But if you're actually just going strength for strength, small person ain't winning, right? So it was an odd. I feel like that bit could have been done better, and that's the thing here. Sometimes it's all in the detail, right? And sometimes the detail is just a little bit lacking, right? Now, that's just me, right? This is just my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be people that are fine with the flow of things and the way everything's depicted, which is, hey, that's all good, man. You know what I mean? We all vibe with things in a different way, It was like, the groups, the overeating anonymous, the skinny. I hated the skinny me. I hated the skinny me. Well, both groups were a bit irritating. The skinny me was super irritating, though I've heard of groups like that. So, you know what I mean? It is. I would never have gone to something like that, but I know there are those ones. So I think it did depict what that is. It was a bit, and it did feel a little bit, why is this here? You know what I mean? It was a little bit, huh. Now, the overeating one, that was fine, because we understand Manish, he goes to this, he's more entrenched in that one. And seeing the different people there and the way they're all coping and struggling and all of this, it adds to the dynamic, it adds to the complexity of this situation. You know what I mean? So I think that was all there. It really does feel a little bit like we have all of these ideas. We want to put these messages out there, but we haven't quite got the flow down. That's what it was a bit like. I mean, for me anyway. It was just a bit like, we want to do this thing. Hold on, we're trying to think of the name of a dude that I spoke to towards the end. Well, it was mid last year, right? Now, because this does remind me of a film. So there was a film called The Best, a short film called The Best, and we spoke to Ian. What is the homie's name? It was Ian Bauer. That was it. Now, Ian, because his film, it was interesting because, he's got he was a bodybuilder. And the bodybuilder is dealing with issues around his father. And in this, right, there's issues Manish is having around his father, right? Because we have these flashbacks. I mentioned there's flashbacks with his father, and it's his father telling me, "Oh, you're overweight. Oh, you're not trying. Oh, you're doing this," right? As his dad's got a mistress. So there's all of these things. But I think Ian really did a fantastic job of depicting all of this right? With Hungary, the idea is there, but it doesn't quite nail it as well as Ian did. So, I mean, if you enjoyed Hungry, you'll definitely like The Best. So go check that out. You'll find, yeah, we reviewed it. It's on the website in the festival section, right? It was during TIFF. So, yeah, you'll see The Best and the conversation with Ian Bauer. So go check that out. But Hungry, it's, it's interesting. It for me, it didn't quite nail the landing, right? I think if you like stuff like Backspot, but again, I think Backspot was just a bit like, did its thing. There was that rowing film. Fuck. I cannot think of the name. But that was sensational. The Novice or something like that, right? That was Flair from a couple of years ago. That was very good. That was very good. I think if you like those films, then I think Hungry, I think it will intrigue you. It did seem like they used way too much, like, underpinning music. For every scene, it felt like there's music playing, which is super distracting. And it's just like, there just isn't a need for it, right? Let the dialogue do the talking, Let the dialogue, let the acting show us the emotion. We don't have to underpin everything with music. It's a bit bizarre. But anyway, people, you will be able to enjoy Hungry. It will be dropping. I think it's already out stateside, right? Yeah, I think it dropped on the 26th. In the UK, you will be able to enjoy it from the 11th, Tuesday, the 11th of March. So, yeah, there you go, people. Hungry.